Hi everyone, welcome back. So far, we are using Spring Security provided default login page, right? So in this lecture, we are going to create custom login page and I will teach you in very simple manner how to create custom login page and how to implement business logic for that. Who are all watching newly, you can subscribe Java Cafeteria channel and you can learn Spring Boot from scratch. Before creating custom login page, let me log into our web application. So these credentials we are using from database, right? So I have created one of the user subman at gmail.com and subman at 123 is the password. Now click on sign in button. So we are able to successfully log in, right? So here we are showing registration page after login, right? So this registration page should be in login page. So user before login to our application, so any new user, first he has to register from login page and then he can use the credentials to log in our web application. So we will move this registration page in login page. Okay. So now let's test one of the scenario. If I enter invalid credentials, let's see what will happen. So I'm using Spring Security default logout URL to log out our web application. So now if I enter Shubman at gmail.com, email ID is valid, but I am entering wrong password. If I click on sign in button, what will happen? So Spring Security will return the error bad credentials. So this error message is coming from Spring Security. We haven't written any error message, right? So now I will enter invalid user who is not available in our database. So let me like Subman at yahoo.com. So he will not available in the database, right? So we'll see what will happen now. Click on sign in button. Awesome. So we are getting exception. User entity is null because in previous lecture we haven't handled this scenario, right? So user entity dot get email ID method is being called, but entity is coming null because the user which I have tried, that user is not available in database. So in that case we have to handle this exception in our business logic. So go to Eclipse and user service IMPL. So here we have a business logic, right? So now the moment you click on sign in button, so load user by username method is being called, right? So here the moment this statement is executed, find by email method, so if user is not available in database, this user entity will return null value. So since null value we are passing to password, so we are getting error message and email ID is not available in database. So user, that's the reason user entity is coming null. So we have to handle this scenario. How we can handle? Just we have to check if null not equal user entity, sorry, not equal to, equal, right? So we have to check equal. If it is null, then we'll throw exception. What kind of exception? User not found exception. So we already have user not found exception predefined exception class in Spring Security. So we can throw that. Throw new user. See, you can see user name not found exception or username not found exception. This is available in user details package of Spring Security. So let me use this class to return error message to our login page. So now here I will display invalid credentials. So now let me log into our web application by using invalid user. Let me refresh the browser, our URL. Now I will use some invalid user who is not available in database. Just dummy username and password. Now click on sign in button. See, now we are able to see bad credentials. Still this message is coming from Spring Security by default. Later when we create a custom login page, that time we can display our own custom error messages. Okay, so this is how we can handle that null pointer exception. Now let's start creating login.jsp, custom login.jsp. Now we are not going to use this default Spring Security web page. Okay, so now why? Because so we have to add sign up button also, right? So that's the reason we are going to create custom login web page. So go to Eclipse and where we can create the JSPs. So I already explained in previous lectures, inside the resource folder and go to meta-inf, inside that resources web-inf and JSP folder. Right click on the JSP, new file and type JSP, or so you can see there is a JSP folder. So now I will give login.jsp. So in name I'm naming it as login.jsp. Click on finish button. That's it. So now user registration form.jsp, it is already having username, email and password, right? Password fields. So I can copy this JSP and paste it into login page, and we can remove unnecessary fields. So first name and last name is not needed for login page, right? So I am going to remove this first name and last name. So make sure you are removing proper table rows. Okay, so now till here, first name and last name, remove it, and email and password is needed for login. So now after that, this jquery.user.js, later we'll use this one, so not now. So now I'm going to change user registration to login. Now after the remaining we are needed in future. Okay, so now let me create home page as well. Why? Because after login to our web application, instead of showing registration page, we have to show home page, right? So let me create home.jsp as well. Right click, new. Yeah, before that, so we have to give URL, right? So which URL we have to give? The moment we click on login button, so we have to change the button name also. Instead of submit, use login button. And then so URL should be /login. So the moment we click on login button, so request will go to our business logic, right? So here load user by username method will be called the moment we click on login button. So our login JSP is ready now. And also if you check user service.impl, load user by username property is having username. So this is the username we need to pass as part of login.jsp. So instead of email, pass username. That's it. So input field name username and ID also have given username. Okay, So otherwise this value will not come to our business logic. So now our login.jsp is ready. So let me create home.jsp also. After login, we have to show home.jsp and click on file and new JSP home.jsp. Click on finish button. So for the time being, I will just show welcome message. HTML and body, and inside that I will just show, later will enhance this login page. So for the time being I am giving simple message, welcome to home page. Yeah, that's it. So now login page is ready, home.jsp also ready. Now we have to configure these two in our controller. So go to user controller and you can create a new controller as well, login controller, because since home page and login page both are belongs to login controller, you can create a new controller as well, or you can write directly in user controller also. So better create new login controller. Okay, so go to controller package. Since it is belongs to login functionality, we have to write in login controller. So right click and then new, right click on the controller package and create class called login controller. Click on finish button. Now we have to declare it as @controller. Done. Our controller is ready now. So now go to our user controller. I will copy user registration form, right? So this method can be, we can use easily. So now we can save some time. So go to paste it here. Now instead of slash, so here you can give login, and here you can give login dot jsp, just login, that's it. So give method name also login page. Okay, so similarly we have to give home page as well, slash home, and method name should be home page. So any name you can give based on your requirement. So now here we have to give home.jsp, right? So JSP name, that's it. So now we have login and home page both are ready. So now we'll see what will happen if I use this URL slash login. So go to web browser and refresh the URL, click on enter. See, still we are able to see uh, default Spring Security provided login page, but it is not display, Spring Security is not displaying our custom login page. So how we can display our custom login page? We have to change our Spring Security custom configuration class. So go to our custom security configuration class, and here so earlier testing purpose I have written few test APIs, right? So now no more needed these URIs. So now just remove it. Make sure while removing you should be very careful, guys. So within the open tag and end tag. So this is the open tag, right? So HTTP, authorize HTTP request, where it is ending, it is ending here. So between these I don't want to these test APIs. Remove this. So now what are all the URLs we have to authenticate? So home page customer should not access directly. So nothing but if I go to let me give as of now permit all, permit all, permit all, nothing but anybody can access all the urls followed by slash, right? So now if I go to browser, if I try to without login, if I try directly home page, so directly it is displaying. So this is invalid, right? We should not display home page directly without authentication. So without authenticating user, without entering username and password, so we should not allow to open home page. Now we have to restrict the home page, user should not directly access, right? We have to restrict home page direct access. How we can restrict? Already in previous lecture I already explained you, right? So now what you can do, slash home, so request matchers, authorize dot request matchers. If slash home page trying to access, so this URI must authenticate, otherwise end user cannot access. Authenticated, so without authentication this home page will not access, right? So let me try now again, click enter. See, it is directly showing login page. So this is spring security default login page. So now you got to know home page can nobody cannot access directly without authentication. Click enter. So now we have restricted home page, right? Now we have to show our custom login.jsp instead of default spring security JSP. Now go to custom configuration class, and now here after that, so we have to, for other urls for login page, we no need to authenticate, right? If you want to access our custom login page, we no need to authenticate, right? So for that purpose, what you can do, click enter here, and dot rest others dot any request dot permit all. So what is the meaning of this? So except this home page, so remaining all the URLs can access directly. So later we'll add which are all the URLs we don't want to access, those we can add later. So for the time being, so home page end user should not access directly. So if anybody want to access home page directly, they must authenticate, right? So now apart from this home page, so remaining all the URLs can access directly as of now. So now we have to show custom login page. So earlier we are showing default spring security login page, right? So now we have to show our custom login page. For that we have to write another form login, and then we have to define our custom login page inside the form login lambda expression login object and login dot, you can see there is a login page method. So using this login page method, we have to pass our custom login page URL. That's it. So this login URL is available in our login controller. So login, so this method will be being called and login page will be displayed. So login page, to access our login page we no need to authenticate, right? So that is the reason here we have given any request permit all other than home page. So now let me access our custom login page. Go to the browser and try to enter login. That's it. Now you can see uh, we are able to see user registration page. Why? Because by default now we have given any request, right? Here we have given other than home page, other than home page, remaining all the URLs can access directly. So now what happened? So the moment I click on localhost colon 8080, so user registration page by default it is loading. So I don't want to load the user registration form by default. So how we can restrict? Go to our user controller. So since we have given slash, so any controller which is defined with slash, so by default it will be being called. So now I don't want to display user registration form by default. So now what we have to do? We have to give some URI for user registration page. User registration page. That's it. So now if you want to access user registration form, you must use user registration page URI. So now go to browser. Now click on localhost 8080. Click on enter. Now see 404. Why? Because we have we have to give our custom page. Earlier we used to get Spring Security default login page, right? Now it is not displaying because now we have enabled our custom login page, right? Login page dot custom login page. So now you can provide dot permit all here also. So now go to the browser and click enter, and you have to give slash login and then click on enter. Now we are able to see our custom login page successfully. So earlier we used to see Spring Security default login page. Now we are able to display custom login.jsp. From here, now after login to our web application, we must show home page, right? So let me configure that as well. So here after login, so since we have given permit all here, so we no need to give explicitly, because apart from home page, remaining all the URLs will be accessed directly. So instead, let me remove this and click enter, and then we have to define another success URL. Once user is able to log in successfully, and then user should see success JSP, nothing but home page. So now login dot, after the login, so you have to use default success page. So why this is not displaying? So yeah, so not login dot. So we already have login dot login page, right? Just dot you have to try. Now you can see default success URL. You can see there is a method called default success URL. So we can use this method to display home page. So now what is the URL for home page? So you can go to login controller. This is the URI to display home page. Now paste it here. After once we logged in successfully, we can see home page. Now if you enter invalid credentials, if you enter invalid credentials, we must show login page, right? So that time we have to show error page or failure page. You can see there is another method to display failure URL. Failure nothing but if your authentication failed, then we have to show again login page, right? For that purpose we have to use failure URL to display login page. So again slash login. So what will happen? First login page will display. Once we click on localhost colon 8080 slash login, so that time very first time login page will display. After that, once you login successful, you can display home page. If your authentication is failed, then it will display again. It will redirect to login page only. Okay, so now let me save this file, and now go to your browser and try to refresh the web browser and URL. Now enter valid credentials. So how I can enter valid credentials? So Shubman at the rate gmail.com is already available in database. So what is the password? Shubman at gmail.com. Sorry, at 123. Shubman at the rate 123. Now click on login button. See, you are able to see welcome page successfully. Welcome to home page. So we are able to log in with our custom login.jsp. So now if you try to log out, it won't work because we have to configure this as well. Since we are using our custom login page, so logout also we have to create our custom logout page. So now let me try to log in again. We can implement logout feature later. Okay, so login, click enter. Now if I enter invalid credentials, so what will happen? Click on type login. See, it is redirecting to login page, but there is no error message because we have to handle the error messages as well, since we are created custom login.jsp. So if I enter any invalid credentials, so Spring Security will redirect login page again, since authentication is failed. So if you enter valid credentials shubman at gmail.com and password shubman at 123 and click on login button, so we are able to log in to our web application. So welcome to home page. So in this lecture you have learned how to create custom login.jsp and how to display in our Spring Security application. So it's very simple, guys. So I will catch you in next lecture. Okay, later we are going to enhance our application. Okay, thank you, guys. I will catch you in next lecture.